So, with the help of three wars in a span of 6 years from 1864 to 1866, the unification of Germany was achieved by Otto Bismarck. Bismarck is said to be a man of blood and iron. He was said to be a man of blood and iron. He used to tell the people, give him as much blood as you can, give him as much iron as you can. He will get the freedom for his country. This is what always he used to tell in his speeches, and that's why he came to be known as a man of blood and iron. Who is called as a man of blood and iron? It is Bismarck. Bismarck is said to be the man of blood and iron. Now, see, the way in which he planned all these three wars was very different. Like the first war in 1864, which he planned with Denmark, was very deliberately planned with the help of Austria. Bismarck, he knew that even Austria has to be removed from Germany because Austria was controlling some of the regions of Germany. But before expelling out Austria from Germany, he took the help of Austria to fight against Denmark. So he defeated Denmark, and after defeating Denmark, he led a war against Austria. He defeated Austria, and then the third one, the war which happened was with France. The first war with Denmark was in the year 1864. The second war which happened with the Austria was in 1866, and the third war that happened with France was in 1870. Three wars. Please note down all these years, all these incidences. Okay, now let us see with regard to Italy. How on the other side, Italians, like now in case of Germany, there was only one man, Otto von Bismarck, who was fighting for the unification of Germany. Now let us see that how Italians, was there a single person or there were more than one person involved in the unification of Italy? That we will see. So, like Germany, even Italians were fighting for the unification of their country, and there was not a single person, but there were three important people along with their king, Victor Emmanuel II. Let us see that. I'll play the video for you for a while, then I'll explain about it. Go through it. Don't worry about the voice of the video. My voice, try to connect it. Here and there, as it required, I'll pause it for you and I'll help you out. So I believe everybody knows what is liberalism, what is conservatism. After the French Revolution of 1789, the society was divided into three classes: liberalism, radicals, and conservatism. Liberalism was the one who was against conservatism, and conservatism was the one who was trying to establish a kind of government which will be in favoring of the king's rule. And liberalism did not like this. So a struggle went up between these two. So why do you see all the tortures here on the screen is that in all these countries revolutions broke out for the sake of getting freedom from their conservative society and establish a liberal society with a ruler of constitution, a ruler who can rule with the will and wish of the people. Right. So this place that you are seeing highlighted is the present Greece. Greece. I hope you might have heard of this. Greece is known for its historical, incidences like democracy has born there. Olympics, the present day Olympics have born there. The Greek gods are very famous. The Greek mythology is very famous. You might have heard about this. So in 1821, a kind of struggle and a movement of nationalism went up among the people of Greece to fight against the Ottoman Empire. I think I have told you about this. I have talked about this with regard to Balkan Peninsula. This region is called the Balkan Peninsula. These are the Christian countries and were controlled by Muslim ruler. So they began to fight with the Muslim ruler and they got their independence. So in the year 1822, after the independence, a treaty was signed between the Ottoman Empire and the Greek people, which is called as the Treaty of Constantinople, which will be granting independence to Greece. You can make a note of this. I'll just play it for a while and then listen that. 1832, a treaty was signed between the Ottoman Empire and the Greeks, granting independence to the Greece. 1832. Remember that the Treaty of Constantinople granting independence to Greece from the control of Ottoman Empire, and this was only possible because of the nationalistic feelings among all the Greeks people. So in the year 1832, Greece got its recognition as the nation, Greece nation. It came to be named as Greece and it came to be known as a Greece country. Okay, they got now a recognition of a country. They are no more a kingdom. They are no more a part of Ottoman Empire. They are not a part of kingdom now. Now they are a separate country, and this happened in the year 1832 by signing a treaty called a Treaty of Constantinople. Now, here also in France, another revolution broke out in the year 1830, where a conservative family, Bourbon's family, was brought in France, according to the Congress of Vienna. And the people, the liberals, they fought here and they removed the liberal government and they removed the conservative government and they brought the liberal government in France in 1830. The pictures are all showing up how the people in France in 1830, these are all the liberals waging up a war against the conservative government that was running up in France and which was established according to 1815 Congress of Vienna. So as usual, looking at France, even Belgium, they too fought, which were under the control of the Kingdom of the Great Britain. They fought with them and they got their own freedom also. Looking at French people, they got inspired from the France. I hope you remember. I think I told you Otto von Bismarck said a kind of a phrase which says that whenever France sneezes, Europe catches cold.
Cold.
Yeah, that's the phrase given by Otto von Bismarck. Sorry, not Otto von Bismarck. That was a phrase given by Metternich, Austrian prince, Duke Metternich of the Austria, he gave that phrase actually. Okay, and during that phrase itself, or because of that phrase only, it was very familiar and popular that whatever happens in France, it reflects in other parts of the Europe. And this is how in 1830 revolution has attracted the people of Belgium to fight against their kings, and they got it. The phrase is the phrase is whenever France sneezes, Europe catches cold. This really doesn't mean that France will sneeze and the Europe is catching the cold. This means that whatever happens in France, its reactions can be seen in other parts of Europe. Means whatever France will do, other will try to copy from it. That it means to say. The phrase it says that whenever France sneezes, Europe is catching the cold. It says that, or it means that whatever happens in France, its reactions can be seen in other parts of Europe. That's what it means. Right. So here, let us see that who are all also getting the kind of yeah. Vidat Arora, you're raising a hand. Do you have any doubt? Ganesh, what happened? Why are you annotating the screen? Maybe by mistake. Okay. Right. Carry on. Let's see. Now, see, parallelly, along with the people fighting against their kings, philosophers, intellectuals, and poetry writers, English writers, and different kinds of people have come up. The educated class have arose there, and they too started up educating the people about the importance of getting liberty, getting freedom from the rule of the kings. And this painting in what is one of the paintings drawn by Frederick Sorio. I hope you remember I have talked about Frederick Sorio's four paintings. Out of that, one we discussed. The second is this painting. These all paintings that were drawn by him were to inspire the people of Europe to fight against their kings. So this new class which has emerged in the society started up inspiring the people to fight against the kings. And let me tell you, you can also wish your English teachers if in case today, if you have a class, today is a World English Day, International English Day today. April 23rd is a birthday of William Shakespeare. I think you all know William Shakespeare, one of the poets, famous poets. Today is birthday, and thereby today it is called as International English Day today. Okay, so in William Wordsworth, who is also there on your screen, he is one of the English poets of the same time when France was going through, when Europe was going through all these revolutions. Now see all these people, yeah, somebody is calling up. Who called up? You have any doubt there? See, all these brothers, I mean, all these pictures that you are seeing on the screen are all the learned people of that time in Europe who either by their books or by their paintings or their by songs, by their hymns, by their poems or by their paintings tried to influence the people about the importance of liberty. Okay, Okay, he's a German philosopher. He is very influential person of that time. The Grimm brothers are known for writing of fairy tales. Fairy tales, in a sense, some fairy stories which will be helping up in promoting nationalism among the people of Germany and bringing them to be united to fight for their unification. These people, they tried to promote nationalism through their works. See, similarly, you can compare with Indian nationalism also. Like for promoting a lot of nationalism among the Indians, many songs were written to promote nationalism among the people. Like very popular song is there, Sare Jahan Se Acha, Hindustan Hamara, a song written by Muhammad Iqbal. And similarly, a revolutionary song is also there written by Ram Prasad Bismil, which is like which says like the song is like this. It says like what is it? Hmm, सरफरोशी की तमन्ना आज हमारे दिल में है देखना कितना कितनी ताकत आज बाजुए कातिल में है something these kind of songs were all written during even the Indian struggle also against the Britishers. Now all these poets and all these philosophers intellectual society of that time were all trying to promote the feeling of nationalism among the people of Europe. Okay. Now, this is like one of the books written by the Grimm brothers. It's a fairy tale, fully illustrated. It's like an assumptive stories written by them to bring the people of Germany as united and to fight against their rulers. Now, social conditions means how was the society of that time in 1830? Many of them, like 80 to 90% of the people were all belonging to the peasants class. The third estate was all consisting of peasants, were all consisting of the farmers, the poor. Slowly, as they were closing to the 19th century, like they were coming close to 1850 and 1860, a middle class belonging to the educated category, belonging to the industrial workers, some businessmen, they all emerged. Let us see that also. Okay, at the same time, when people are struggling and people are worried about their kings are not taking up any steps to uplift their life, they were also badly impacted by a crop failure, what it is called as. They were hit by the kind of problems that there is no agricultural output, shortage of food, no jobs, no money with them, and thereby acute poverty arose. So all these problems existed during that time in the society in 1830s afterwards. Okay, so what was also happening is that as there was agricultural failures or agricultural no outputs were going on, many people they left the villages and they have come down to cities, living in slum areas, living in unhygienic conditions. Unemployment was too much going through in the cities. The urban unemployment was a lot there in Europe that time. Right. I believe last year's class I have already talked about industrial revolution. Industrial revolution broke out, industries came up, plenty of industries came up, and there was a demand for workers. Anyhow, these workers they were going through some serious issues like excessive number of working hours, meager wages, unhygienic conditions, lack of sanitization, no proper housing was provided to them. They all suffered. They all went through different miseries. Now, see what happened again. Another, it gave a chance for the outbreak of another revolution in the year 1848 in France. And this time, this has come from a particular category of workers who are working in factories, who are working on a particular kind of work. These people, they revolted against their contractors, their owners, that they are going through some miseries which they could not bear. Now, some kind of efforts were taken up by the assembly to provide employment and to provide suffrage to the people. Suffrage means a right to vote was provided to all those people who are above 20 years so that people should not revolt against the king. So this was a revolt of 1848 that broke out once again in France, and this time it was taken over by peasants, the working class people, against their owners, against their rulers. Okay. So the other person was, I mean, this Joseph Mazzini, that who became a member of a secret society called Carbonari. So having been a member of a society called Carbonari, he felt that he need to do something for his country and unite it into a single nation. So then later on when he grew up, he himself formed two more secret societies. What are those? You already know this, but for your revision purpose, look at that. Okay. He himself, once when he grew up and as he felt that he need to fight for the sake of his country, he too formed two secret societies. One is called as Young Italy and the other was called as Young Europe. In Italy itself, he formed these two secret societies to involve people in a struggle to form a nation, in a struggle to unite Italy. So Joseph Mazzini's contribution is also there in the process of unification of Italy. Right. You all are aware of this, that actually in the entire European history, there has been, after the kings removed, particularly in 1789, after the execution of Louis XVI, there came in the society with three different ideological people. I hope you all remember this. One is liberal group, the other is radical group, and the other third one is conservative group. So radicals and liberals were one among the same, who were against the absolute kingship that was existing in Europe. Conservatism was a group of people who were in favor of bringing back the absolute monarchs. Okay, so anyhow, radicals and liberals were fighting for the sake of bringing a constitutional monarchism if they have to have a monarch. And conservatives were trying their best to bring a conservative rule with the help of absolute monarchism. So a kind of struggle went up throughout Europe between these two groups. And particularly after the defeat of Napoleon, this struggle went up in a very high level, because you all remember after the defeat of Napoleon in 1815, in which battle Napoleon got defeated, the last battle fought by Napoleon. Any idea?
Waterloo, sir.
Yeah,
Waterloo, sir.
exactly. The
1815,
battle.
sir.
Yeah, exactly. The Battle of Waterloo. That was the last battle fought by Napoleon. After his defeat, there in Europe, a meeting took place, which was called as Congress of Vienna, under the leadership of the Austrian Prince Duke Metternich. So, in that Congress of Vienna, some kind of suggestions, some kind of steps were taken up, which were promoting some kind of defining with regard to establishing back all the kings and rulers which were removed by Napoleon in those states. So some decisions that were taken up during the Congress of Vienna, it was responsible to create such an empire that people did not like their rulers. Okay, like Italy was divided into six kingdoms according to the Congress of Vienna. In the same way, Germany was divided, the Ottoman Empire got divided. So some steps that were taken up were not at all liked by the people. So thereby all nationalistic feelings were promoted after that. Okay. So throughout Europe, a feeling of liberalism, a feeling of liberty, a feeling of establishing a people's government, it all ran through in every part of Europe. So thereby, the kind of the tortures that you are seeing in Italy, here in Italy, there in Ottoman Empire, in Turkey, there in the Kingdom of Prussia, in Austria, what all these things are resembling is that in all these places revolutions broke out by liberalist people to establish a free government, a government that will help the people, a government that will be giving importance to the people, a government which will not give importance to the kings and absolute kingship. That all went up in the entire parts of Europe. This I have already talked about, the Ottoman Empire, where this area is famously called as, what is it called as? It is called as the Balkan Peninsula. Okay, and this area was occupied by Ottoman Empire. Ottoman means the Muslim rulers were controlling Christian countries. So thereby the liberals of this area, particularly here you can see a Zante place. Zante is nothing but the present Greece. The people of this country, they started up fighting for the sake of their independence, which came to be known as the efforts or the revolution for the Greek independence, which was achieved in the year 1821. Okay, let's see that. That's that's the Greece country. Okay, now the video is talking about the Greeks revolution or the independence of Greece. So the war of Greek people was against the Ottoman Empire. They were fighting against the Muslim rulers that they were controlled by them. Now these people, they all got inspired by the kind of nationalism that was spreading throughout Europe, and they led this war and they got their independence. So in the year 1832, after the independence of the Greece, a treaty was signed between the Turkish people and the Greece, which came to be known as the Treaty of Constantinople. Okay, please remember the Treaty of Constantinople was signed as a matter of independence of the Greeks. So Greece got its recognition by signing a treaty called a Treaty of Constantinople. Right. According to 1815 Congress of Vienna, after the execution of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, his wife, France was handed over to the Bourbon family. Like I think you might be knowing a Bourbon spelling because you might have eaten a Bourbon biscuits. Okay, a family of Bourbons was handed over to take over the region of France, who controlled France from 1815 to 1830. So thereby, even this Bourbon family was trying to rule France with an absolute monarchism, and thereby the liberals of this area also fought against their king, and they got revolution here against the Bourbon family and established their freedom, and a liberal government was established in France in 1830 after the revolution. So I believe you could remember 1789, one revolution broke out in which Louis XVI was thrown away. Okay, and then after that it was Napoleon who came to rule there in France. And after the defeat of Napoleon in 1815, the Congress of Vienna has brought the Bourbon family to rule over the French, which ruled from 1815 to 1830, which is called as a Bourbon rule or a Bourbon family's rule, and it was overthrown in 1830 by defeating the Bourbon family by the liberals, and a liberal government was established in the year 1830. So 1789 revolution and 1830 revolution as well has taken place in France. So 1830 revolution is also called as the July Revolution. What happened, Abhijit? Your mic is on. So looking at France, how they got independence, Belgians, they too fought for their independence and they got their freedom. This I think I have already talked about, I believe, because I remember all these faces. I've even talked about the Grimm brothers. So all these people were responsible for fueling up and inspiring the people to fight for their freedom, fight for their justice, liberty, equality, and all this. So all these people who wrote songs, poems, composed songs, wrote stories, fairy tales, promoting nationalism and all that was considered as romanticism. Romanticism is like a kind of love, a kind of an effort that was shown towards the achievement of liberty and equality. What happened, Ganesh? Ganesh, you are on unmute mode. Right. These are the authors actually who wrote up all those books, fairy tale stories, nationalistic songs, hymns, and different kinds of sources of romanticism and the love and affection that they had towards achieving the independence of their respective countries were all reflecting in their works. Charan, do you have any problem, Charan? Charan Gaud. Charan Gaud, 9th A1. This is one of the books that illustrated or that showed the kind of works done by the Grimm brothers. Now let us look how and what kind of people were living there in Europe. I mean, how many rich people were there, how many poor people were there, how many peasants were there, all such kind of things. Now we will see. Okay, I'll keep it. Even this class will be available. This class and last class that I have explained, I'll keep that in the YouTube. You can see that. So poverty was very bad, and it was in such a condition that people were dying out of hunger, poverty was prevailing, and it was on a peak stage in Europe. And at the same time, the population has got increased of Europe from 1830 or from 1815 to the end of the 19th century. And most of the people living in the rural areas, they have left because there is nothing left in agriculture. They were all affected by the calamities, they were all affected by the droughts, so they all came to the towns and cities in search of jobs. And these people, when they came here, they started up living in slum areas, they started up living in unhygienic conditions in the smaller areas, in the smaller regions, and they all suffered a lot under these circumstances. Now, at the same time, parallelly, industries has grown up. You all know well, I have already explained about the industrial revolution that broke out in Europe. So, industrial revolution started up even hitting all those people who were doing a kind of work, with the help of their hands, like peasants or so small handicraft people who were doing their job with the help of no tools and no machinery. All they were getting affected because of this industrial revolution. So another revolution broke out with these people, especially the kind of weavers. Weavers, I believe you all know someone who used to make the cloth, someone who used to prepare the cloth. We will call them as weavers. Even they were getting affected because now weaving was done at home by these people, and these people, they stopped getting the job and they stopped getting the work because textile industries has come up because of the industrial revolution, and thereby it gave an upsurge of another revolution in the year 1845. A revolution began in France. So another revolution breaking out in the year 1848, with all these conditions. They were all joined by, the weavers were joined by the peasants because they were all falling short of food. And why all these upsurges are taking place, why all these revolutions are also taking place is because of, the kings or the liberal governments that who were ruling, they were not working for the welfare of these sections. Thereby, all these revolutions occurring there. So after the 1848 revolution, the government took some remedial steps to pacify them and to calm them. And those efforts were like giving the right to vote to all the people who are above 20 years of age, and an employment exchange was established so that all the people can get the jobs. It was like a temporary effort given by those people or given by those governments of that time to pacify these people. Yeah, only 7 minutes are remaining. Fine, no problem. Let's continue because this chapter is little bit bigger. So I'm little worried. And one more thing is that you need to remember this lesson, till very long time, till next month, next year, March or February. You need to remember this. So it's very important that you pay attention and listen every clause and every point which is discussed in the lesson. and at the same time you need to go through the textbook again and again so as to understand what exactly the chapter is all about. Just now we talked about the 1848, the peasants revolution. Silesian workers are nothing but a place in France where all the workers, the peasants particularly, or the weavers particularly, who were not happy with their garments and the industrial output that was coming up and making them as unemployed, all these people they revolted in the year 1848 in France. See, you're all seeing as kingdoms, all these places. So the entire lesson is how these kingdoms got turned into countries. Frankfurt is a place in Germany where a parliament was convened in the year 1948. Okay, where finally the country, after the conditions of First World War and Second World War and all that happened, a parliament was convened in the year 1848. It's not 1948, it should be 1848. Fine. Okay, Danya. I've got only 5 more minutes or less than 5 minutes. So, kind of an agreement between the conservatives and the liberals has come up so as to establish a government on a mutual understanding in some places like Germany, Italy, and all that. See, I see that there is a huge drop in the number. Like I had 74, now I have only 62. Many are dropping. I don't know what is the reason. But see, the entire lesson cannot be that interesting that I can put it up or I can stitch it up into. But here and there, some points will be there which will be repeated and which will be going on very commonly. That I cannot change, and I cannot tell you that this has happened and that has happened, even though it is not there a part of in the history. I cannot add up such mirch and masala. I have to tell you what all is there and what all happened. That's only. So just bear it for a while. Some ups and downs will be there. Now it might be little bit not so entertaining, but as you move up, see, even despite my telling, the number is coming down. Now again, 60 people are there. Two people dropped out. Fine, let's continue because I have got 2 more minutes. Now, what is the role of women that they did throughout all these struggles. They played an equal role, they played an important role along with the men. In what way that they have been? Sir, in which country? Frankfurt. Frankfurt Parliament is from Germany. Germany. Okay. I might get disconnected at any point of time because only 1 more minute is left. And even the number now has come down to 58. What disease is this? I don't know. What problem is this? I don't know. Why people, even before the class ends, they leave up the class. I don't know what's the hurry and what's the problem that you can't even stay connected till the end. Unbelievable. Acha, maybe continuous English may not be helping them out in understanding what exactly is being taught. That's the reason they leave, I think. Okay, fine, children, don't worry. Maybe 1 or 2 points I'll discuss and then we will finish off. Anyhow, the class will get ended up. And today's class and the previous class, I'll combine those two videos and I'll put it up in the YouTube. You can watch it. Okay, let's continue and let's see the role. Huh? What, ma?
Sir, Oswald series book.
Yeah, you can buy. I said, choice is yours.
Sir,
Oswald
pick pet.
series. It is available on Amazon, Flipkart, I believe. Wherever is less or discount is available, you can buy from there. What else,
Sir,
Manogna?
book pick pet and sir.
Book pick petala. I mean, you want me to keep? How does it look like? The cover page.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll put it up. I have done on already to